Hello, welcome back to Talking Tunes, and today we are going to be talking about the 8 tunes on Genesis' 1976 album, Trick of the Tail, an album celebrating its 50th anniversary, I believe, just back in February, the last couple weeks of February. So, late last month, actually. So, I've told the story about Peter Gabriel leaving Genesis many times. That's your context, that's your history for this video. Another piece of history for this video, so I guess I wasn't your history for this video, but here we go. Another piece of context for this video. Before this album was released and complete, Steve Hackett went and made his first solo album, an album which is pretty good, but unfortunately I forget the title at the moment. Is it Voyage of an Acolyte? I think that's what it is. But that's what happened. He came back, and he wasn't here for a lot of the songwriting, but he did, write. He did write and contribute a little bit. But it's a pretty goddamn good album. All things considered. Peter Gabriel leaving. And they did look for a different vocalist other than Phil Collins. They did look for a different vocalist. They also considered very briefly a purely instrumental direction, but that, obviously that's not the direction they went. That would have been neat. That would have been cool as shit. But that's not the direction they went. So they released this album in 1976. And it's pretty goddamn good. But is it great? Well, starting off with song number 1, Dance on a Volcano. This song has, a great, bit of anticipation with, that Steve Hackett guitar riff. It's just this great amount of anticipation, and it does that 2 or 3 times, and then it launches into the main riff of the song. And then Phil Collins comes in, Holy Mother of God, you've got to go faster than that to get to the top. It is an epic song. It is an epic fucking song, and it definitely sounds, again, obviously, because it's on a Genesis album, it honestly sounds like Genesis, even though they've just had their, major guy who the public saw as the leader, which he and Tony might have been co-leaders, but I think Tony was a little bit more of a leader on this one, I'm just saying. They saw, Peter Gabriel as a leader, and so this, if I saw this as a leaderless album, if I knew the gossip, if I was reading Melody Maker in 1976, I'd have picked up this album and been all right, can Genesis do it? The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway was pretty good. Can Genesis do it without Peter Gabriel? And hearing this first song, oh yeah, they could. Song number 2, Entangled. This is one of several very long, very acoustic songs. This song, these 3 songs that I'm going to talk about over the course of this video, but there's 3 of these songs that are very similar and were always sort of intended to be sung by Phil. But basically, these are the weaker songs on the album. Not to call this album weak, but a lot of these songs just kind of meander a little bit. They start off nice and pleasant, but then they meander for a little while, and then they have an instrumental, and then, it's for the first 2 minutes it's lyrics, and then the central 2 minutes it's instrumental stuff, and then for the final 2 minutes, and this happens 3 times, it goes back to lyrics. Not to call that bad, but after that happens twice, you're just I'm kind of done. But, Yeah, I mean, it's not a weak song. It's a little bit long. It could have been about 2 minutes shorter, as in it doesn't need, like, that extra verse, because a lot of it is, just kind of the same thing over and over again. It's not to the degree that pop music got to in the 2010s of stuff being over and over again. But for a prog band, it's just kind of like, I like when stuff loops back around a couple of times. But here, I guess I either don't find it all that interesting, or it's just kind of, not great for Genesis, right? Not to call this song bad. It's a good song, but yeah. Not as good as the previous song and some of Genesis's previous material. It's effectively taking, what's it called? From The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Oh, fuck. How does it go? More Fool Me, that's what I'm thinking of. It's kind of like taking More Fool Me and extending it by double, and multiplying its length by 2. That's kind of what it's like. Song number 3, Squonk. Another epic about a mythical creature which apparently resides in Pennsylvania, my home state, so that's pretty cool. It's just like that. Like father, like son. Not flesh, no fish, no bone. A red rag hangs from an open mouth. It's really cool. And for Genesis, it's a little heavy. It's kind of neat to hear this be played. According to Phil Collins, this was kind of meant to be like Genesis's Kashmir. Would it be Kashmir? Or was it When the Levee Breaks? I don't know. But one of those, Genesis songs where it, like, really marches for a while. And this song definitely marches for a while, but it also has a little bit more whimsy. It's definitely heavy, I wouldn't call it not heavy, let me rephrase that. I wouldn't call it soft. I wouldn't necessarily call it heavy, but, for Genesis, it's heavy. Especially for this album is heavy, but we'll get to that. I guess I've already kind of been there. But it's so cool. It's such a good song, and it marches for a good 6.5 minutes, and it's great. It's a great, great, great song. Song number 4, Madman Moon. This is another one of those songs like Entangled. It's just kind of it's just kind of here. I don't hate it, but again, it is... and a lot of the acoustic songs, or all 3 of the acoustic songs, they're either breakup songs or love songs. I don't really know half the time who they're about. They could be about a girl, could be about Peter Gabriel, obviously. But it's just kind of, lyrics for 2 minutes, jam for 2 minutes, and then lyrics again. So, I mean, again... not a bad song. It's just kind of although, it does give a little, like, these 3 songs, again, on a different album, I feel like if the whole album felt like this, I'd be much more negative towards them. But, on this, album, like, they get a good mix of, the energetic and the acoustic, you know what I mean? They get a good mix here. Kicking off side 2, we have Robbery, Assault, and Battery, the comedy song of the album, written in the style of a lot of those Peter Gabriel comedy songs, stuff like Counting Out Time, and Harold the Barrel, like the comedy songs, and I know what I like, but, written in the style of Peter Gabriel. A lot of people say this is the worst song on the album. That's Madman Moon. That's Madman Moon every single day of the week for me. Not to say that Madman Moon is bad, but if I have to pick a bad song off of this album, it's that one. Or a less strong song off of this album, it's Madman Moon. But this is honestly, an entertaining song. It's about, a guy who commits robbery, assault, and battery, but gets off, I guess, on the charges, or like bullshits his way through the charges, or I guess is like being falsely accused. It's really fun. It's a fun song. It's a very fun song. Song number 6, Ripples, the final of those acoustic songs. This is the best one, and it could be a love song. It could be, a send-off to Peter Gabriel, especially with that sail away, away, ripples never come back. It's cool. And so it's the best of those acoustic songs, and those acoustic songs kind of give a little bit of, what's it called? What's that prog subgenre? Caravan. Canterbury. It gives a little bit of a Canterbury feel to this album. I wouldn't call this album, Canterbury prog. This is full-blown prog rock. But, it has a little bit of that feel, It's kind of cool, in my opinion. Song number 7, the title track, A Trick of the Tail. It's just kind of basic, but I prefer it over Madman Moon. There's not much to it. I think it's a sequel to Squonk. It's just kind of about this weird creature showing up. They've got no horns and they've got no tail. They don't even know of our existence. I guess it's a Squonk spying on human civilization, but and he goes back to the rest of the Squonks and goes, "Hey, these guys look weird as fuck." But yeah, that's kind of what this is. And then Los Endos, the second best song on the album, just after the opener. This is an instrumental. It's the first Genesis instrumental that has a reason to be an instrumental, because Peter Gabriel's not here. Phil Collins drums. It's not hard to figure out what everybody's doing. With a lot of bands that have lead singers that don't play an instrument, but then they put an instrumental on their albums. It's just like, well, what was the lead singer's input here? But, but it's, a great song. Like, almost 6 minutes of excellence. It's, high energy. It's got high energy moments. It pulls in different melodies from earlier in the album, particularly Dance on a Volcano and Squonk, and it has this, excellent peak, where, Steve Hackett and Tony Banks are, like, kind of playing this same on guitar and keyboard, respectively, and it's such a great moment. It's a amazing way to close this album off. What's my final verdict? Go buy it. Yep. Go buy it. Truly, in my opinion, a great album. I know I've criticized some of the acoustic numbers, but, a lot of the time, those honestly kind of depend on my mood. That's not always a great thing for your album to have, but for this one, I think that's okay. The album cover is, in my opinion, not one of their better ones. I guess it kind of evokes similar energy to, Nursery Crime. I guess it kind of looks like an 19th century newspaper cartoon, or early 20th century newspaper cartoon. But yeah, good album. Go buy it. Fantastic album. Thank you all very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, leave a like on it. If you have something to add, please feel free to do so in the comment section down below. If you like my personality but want to hear me talk about something other than music, I have a podcast with two of my buddies. It's called Dorkies. I will leave a link to the latest episode of that in the description down below. And if you want to hear what I happen to be listening to that day, or a 15-second segment at least, you can follow me on Instagram. I will leave a link to that in the description down below. I post a song on my story there every single day. And with that, I would like to remind you all to stay weird and keep jamming. See you in the next one. Take care.